Chelsea is still interested in signing Alejandro Garnacho this summer. There was also reports a couple of weeks ago from sources in Italy that Napoli are interested in Garnacho if the price tag lowers. Could Garnacho leave Manchester United in the summer? We will have a discussion about that. Now, one player that's definitely leaving Sporting in the summer is Victor Gyokeres. Arsenal like him, Man United like him. There's links to Barcelona, there's links to Chelsea. And as it was either Laurie Whitwell or David Ornstein, or I think it was one of them that said yesterday, it was a credible journalist said yesterday or the day before, a couple of days ago, that a lot of top clubs want a striker, but the striker market's quite small. Everyone's going to be battling it out for the Delaps, the Seskos, the Akites, and of course the Gyökeres and the Osimhens, because the players like Isak aren't seen as attainable. It'd be £150 million. And Gyökeres reportedly has given his word to Ruben Amorim that he will be with Ruben Amorim next season. But there's very much conflicting reports about Gyökeres. Some reports say, look, United believe they can get him, the player's open. Other reports say only if we win the Europa League. Other reports say United aren't that interested, they're looking elsewhere. I don't believe that United aren't interested in Gyökeres. When he scored that many goals under Ruben Amorim and we need a striker, I don't believe that United aren't interested. Also, United's surprise transfer priorities. A report coming out saying we're not looking at a goalkeeper. What is the latest on Onana? Links to Jobe Bellingham. What's the latest on that? We are looking at a player that's been described by some as the next Michael Olise from Monaco. We'll talk about that. And Amorim speaks on Cunha. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, update, and roundup. I am currently on holiday at the moment, so there might be less videos until Thursday evening when I'm back. So I do apologise about that if there's less videos and less live streams. But yeah, I'm having a bit of a break, but I will definitely be doing daily content. And if there's news, I'll try and get 2 videos that day. So let's round up all the news in 10 minutes for you guys. That was a long intro, I apologise. But it was said by David Ornstein that Alejandro Garnacho is still among Chelsea's options at winger. David Ornstein, one of the most reliable sources of information. There were reports going out from Italy last week that Napoli still have an interest, but it depends on the price. And I can't remember who said it, but someone in Italy said that Man United are willing to lower Garnacho's price. We do know that United could be willing to offload Garnacho to raise funds in the summer, while Ruben Amorim likes him and likes the energy he brings. And United do believe there's a player in there. And I think that game versus Lyon probably describes Garnacho better than anything. He was so good and so dangerous versus Lyon, and then he got in the final third and he could have passed it to Højlund. And then he got in that really good position, he did really good work, and he didn't finish. I think it describes Garnacho as a player. He's young, he's raw, it's where he lacks in the final third, but I love his directness. I love his intent. I think he definitely brings something, and I think there's definitely a player worth being patient with. But I remember it sort of being spoken about that while Ruben Amorim likes Garnacho, he thinks that there are better options out there and he could be replaced. And I think, United were willing to offload Garnacho in January. They didn't because of Rashford and Antony, and they couldn't find a replacement. Garnacho had talks with Napoli and Chelsea and was open to the move, only because he was being pushed out. So Garnacho leaving Manchester United is definitely a possibility and one to watch this summer. But I think Højlund's maybe more likely to go. Actually, no, Garnacho is easier to sell because it's just profit in FFP. If you sell Højlund, you need 30 million to avoid making a loss. I think Garnacho could go just because of the FFP and the finances. I think if we in the Champions League next season, there's more chance he stays. I think if we're not and we need money, we could sell him. So who would we all like Man United to sign? I think all of us would like us to sign Victor Gyokeres. I touched upon this report once before, but I want to get more into it because obviously there's been talk about Gyokeres lately. And the People's Person said via One Football that Victor Gyokeres has given his word to Ruben Amorim at Manchester United, despite Arsenal interest in Gyokeres. Apparently, he gave his word to Amorim. Now, this was reported by Sky Sports Copenhagen, I believe. Copenhagen, not Sky Sports in Switzerland. And they claimed that several sources confirmed that Gyokeres had given his word to Amorim to join him at United this summer. Now, this is interesting. Now, of course, we've got to take every bit of news with a pinch of salt. But if, Victor Gyokeres has said to Ruben Amorim, look, I'll join at United in the summer, all it depends on is, will Man United pay up for Gyokeres? Will we pay his wages? If the player is open to the move and wants to play for us, that's the hardest part of the deal sorted, because there's a lot of competition. A lot of people want him Arsenal. But if he says he wants to link up with Amorim again, that's the hard part done. All United need to do is say, look, you've got a 58 million release clause or gentleman's agreement. You can leave for 58 million and cough up 58 million for a player that's probably worth 58 million. But as I said, there's been so many conflicting reports about Gyokeres. Some sources say he's a definite target, other sources say we want someone younger. And obviously, The Athletic are probably one of the most, arguably the most reliable outlet when it comes to Man United news. And they said that Manchester United's interest in Victor Gyokeres has been relatively tepid. They hold reservations over Gyokeres' price tag, potential salary, and age. Now, I think that's crazy because we know that I think it's 58 to 60 million the gentleman's agreement is to sell him. Like, yes, he will want a somewhat salary, but it'll be less than what a lot of our other players are. And I think, United have had this thing where we brought in a 21-year-old striker, a 20-year-old striker, and it's not worked. I'd rather bring in Victor Gyokeres, who is, 26 right now? He'll be 27 maybe by the time we bring him in. Yes, I know he's older, but if you look at our most successful strikers in recent years, Cavani was older. Ronaldo got 20 goals and was older. Zlatan was good. When we're going for these young strikers, it's such a risk. And I think when we've gone for young strikers in the past, and Højlund's very young, I don't know how I feel about young strikers. Like Delap for 30 million is such a good bit of business, and it gives you the funds to invest elsewhere. But we're not in a position where the priority is a centre back, but we also probably need a striker. We're in a position where the price is a striker and we also need a centre back. So I'd rather go cheap and younger on a centre back for £15 million and go and sign Victor Gyokeres for £60 million and give him bigger wages than go for a 30 million centre back and a 30 million striker, for example. I think if the striker is the priority, I think you might as well go big and invest that money into Gyokeres. But the Athletic say, there's reservations there over the price, over the age, which if Gyokeres wants the move, go for it. Look, if he's asking for something ridiculous like 400k a week, I get it. But look, I think we have to go for a player like Victor Gyokeres with his goal scoring record and everything. Continuing on, so there's been a lot of rumours and reports that United will sell Onana over the last week, but that might not be the case. So this was said by Malik of the Mirror. His Twitter is down below. He said Onana is expected to remain as United's number one next season, and Amorim is going to strengthen on other positions, include striker, who we know is the number one priority, 2 midfielders. I assume what he means by that is 1 to play in the pivot and 1 to play in the 10 role. We're going to talk about the Jobe Bellingham links in a minute. Centre back, I'm sure we're just needing another one for depth. Evans is going to go, Lindelof's going to go, and Maguire has had injury problems this season. De Ligt in the past, injury issues within there, and at least 1 wing back. Now, for me, I think we need a striker, a 10, a centre mid, a young centre back, a wing back, and a goalkeeper. I think we need 6 positions. These are 5 positions. Now, he's saying that, United, Onana is expected to remain number 1. Now, this could be because he said that Onana will only leave Man United if they get offers in excess of 20 million, but I think it's 26 million, not 20 million. His book value is 26 million. So, to be honest, would we want to take a loss on Onana, which puts us further back in regards to FFP? Probably not. I think United will want 26 million for Onana, and only Saudi can pay that kind of money. So I think with Onana, we do want a new goalkeeper because we've been looking at goalkeepers, we've been linked to goalkeepers. I think we definitely do want another goalkeeper, but it might be someone that's going to replace Bandia that could push Onana. I think if Onana doesn't go, and the only way he's going to go is if Saudi come and give us 26 million because that's the cheapest we're going to sell him for, then he'll stay at United and probably be number 1 next season with maybe a better option as backup. But I think United, looking at other goalkeepers, says to me that if they can sell Onana, they will, but it's a matter of can they sell him. We were apparently scouting Diogo Costa again. We've also been linked to other goalkeepers, the Royal Antwerp keeper, the Lille keeper, James Trafford we've been linked to. But as I said in red, this is red, by the way, is my opinion. If you didn't know that, like, if anything that's in red will just be like my opinion on the matter. But we keep scouting keepers, we keep being linked to keepers, and I think if we didn't want to replace Onana, why are we being linked to all of these keepers all of a sudden? Is it because he had a bad game and the media were making it up? Potentially. But we had reports from a few days ago saying Villa was inquiring with clubs about their keepers. I said keeps there, I meant keepers, including Santos or Frankfurt. Viva wouldn't be inquiring with clubs about their keepers if he didn't plan to have a look and say, you know what, let's get a new keeper, hey. Continuing on into other stories, and this is a player that I've only watched a couple of times, once in Liga 1 and in the Champions League, but whenever I've watched him, he's really impressed me. Manchester United have joined City in the race to sign AS Monaco forward Magnus, and I'm going to probably butcher his surname, but Akliouche. I don't know if I've said that right. You're going to have to let me know down below. I'm just going to call him Magnus, who is expected to leave his formative club this summer. Now, City obviously looking at him, Bernardo Silva replacement. I'm not going to act like I know loads about this player. I can't even pronounce his name. I can't really pronounce anyone's name. But I was still just doing a bit of research online, and obviously the games that I watched him in the Champions League where he was impressive. and he's sort of, looking at his underlying numbers, 96% for key passes, 93rd percentile for assists, 89th percentile for expected goals and assists, and 85th percentile for progressive carries. Of course, Ruben Amorim wants more of a carrier than a passer at 10, but they're very good underlying numbers. 8 assists, 2 key passes per 90, 14 big chances created. They're very good assists and numbers this season, a very creative player, and that's what our strikers need. So there was also links to Jobe Bellingham, by the way, by the very good United District. Make sure you give United District a follow on Twitter. But they said United's interest in Bellingham is very high, and he continues to impress the recruitment staff. United looking to improve both defensive midfield and attacking midfield departments, and Bill was impressed by him. I see him playing in the pivot, not as a 10 in the pivot, Jobe Bellingham. We've been linked to him many times. There was literally links by Graham Bailey just a couple of days ago to Chris Rigg and Jobe Bellingham, and that we're very impressed with him. So there's definitely some truth in these Jobe Bellingham links. I like Jobe Bellingham, but only as a second midfield signing. I don't think he solves our midfield issues. He's young, he's raw. We still need a natural progressive passer, but he does help with physicality issues. I like Jobe Bellingham, but he's one of those I'm happy to look at next season. But I guess Man United think, will he be around next season? I also think because he's got a Bellingham surname, he's probably going to be a little bit overpriced. Last but not least, Ruben Amorim spoke on Matheus Cunha, and he said, spoke on Wolves, and he said that Wolves have players with real threat like Cunha and the rest of them in the squad. It's going to be a tough match versus Wolves, but he names Cunha as the tough player, the player that's going to make it hard after we've been linked to Cunha for ages, and I think Ruben Amorim wants Cunha. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.